Okay, then let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. I hope that you all have had a restful and productive summer. I know that's much easier said than done, and that everybody is staying healthy as we start um, on a new academic year. It's nice to see new names, new faces. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Erin Doran. I am the Director of Research and Evaluation for Catch the Next. I am also an assistant professor of higher education at Iowa State University. I got my um, foot in the door with Catch the Next when I was a doctoral student down in San Antonio, Texas. I started out as a mentor, a community mentor for the Palo Alto College campus in San Antonio, and then my relationship with CTN had just grown from there. And so this is an organization that I've been involved with for 7 or 8 years now, which is crazy to think. Um, the purpose of the webinars is one, just to have engagement with each other throughout the year. As part of my job duties as Director of Research and Evaluation, I am tasked with putting together a webinar series. They are usually on the third Thursday of every month from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time. And there are some topics that are fairly stable in terms of we'll feature some of our mentor faculty members who will talk about various readings to incorporate. Something that's always fun within Catch the Next is you always leave with a really good book list by the end of the year of things that you might read for professional development or to incorporate in your classes. We will hear next month from Dr. Carlton Fong, who is an assistant professor of developmental education at Texas State University. I'm working on trying to get Dr. Rogelio Saenz, who is a demographer at UTSA and who was just on Texas Public Radio yesterday talking about the census and how that's changed the demography of Texas and what sort of implications those might have. Dr. Saenz is also a board member of Catch the Next. And so it's just a touch point to be able to come together and to listen to topics that are related to the work that we do across Texas, implications for community colleges, for minoritized students, different things like that. So for the first one to kick off the school year, I have asked Dr. Joan Jaimes to talk. I actually met Joanne up here in Iowa. She was a doctoral student at Iowa State University, and she was also she has a lot of different experiences that I hope she can talk about. She worked with the Marshalltown Promise program, which Marshalltown is one of the only emerging Hispanic serving institutions in the state of Iowa. She has worked doing financial aid outreach, excuse me, for many, many years. And I will put a link to it when Catch the Next commissioned a study from the Texas Education Research Center out of the University of Texas at Austin. One of the interesting findings was that our students within Catch the Next are typically utilizing financial aid at higher rates. They're finishing their college degrees with a lesser amount of debt. Something that I've written about is just how well the program has done at really helping students navigate financial aid. But I also know that the financial aid process can be daunting in terms of knowing how to mentor students through that program. So as a good way to start, I've asked Dr. Jaimes if she could help just help us to tap into her knowledge and her experience and things that she has found are frequently asked questions and things like that. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Dr. Jaimes.
Thank you, Dr. Doran. I'm Joanne Jaimes. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning at San Antonio College. I also am the Director for the Ascended program. And like Dr. Doran said, we met. She was part of my doctoral committee at Iowa State University. And I was the director of the Marshalltown Education Partnership. And the Marshalltown Education Partnership is a duplicate in a miniature version of the San Antonio Education Partnership. I am originally from Brownsville, Texas, so concentrating in the research and the success of Latino students from Texas has always been very important to me. I am a first-generation college student, so my parents did not attend college. And I know how difficult it is for families to sometimes find out about all of the information that they need to know to go to college. Part of my job at the Marshalltown Education Partnership was conducting outreach to families from low income and first generation college student backgrounds about financial aid. From Iowa, I left to Washington, D.C., and I worked at the Department of Education at the Office of Federal Student Aid as Awareness and Outreach Coordinator. And as we all know, there have been many studies about the importance of creating financial aid awareness. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Do you see my PowerPoint? Great. Okay, so here is the agenda and what we're going to talk about. The purpose of this session is not to go through the 108 questions of the FAFSA or do a demo of how to complete the FAFSA. More than that, although I can answer questions about the FAFSA and about the form and about the 64-page formula for the EFC. More than that, this session is to understand the role that our Ascender advisors and our faculty play in the success of our students in college, and sometimes even before they enroll in the courses. So I'm going to talk about how the FAFSA completion and how knowing of financial aid affects enrollment. I'm going to talk a little bit about the importance of knowing the enrollment checklist at your specific institution. I am not going to talk about college costs. I'm going to talk about financial aid, the FAFSA, the TASFA, and other common financial aid sources, common pitfalls, knowing the rules and the importance of financial literacy. And at any time, please stop me if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, or put them in the chat. You don't have to wait until the end of the presentation to ask me questions. Why are you learning about financial aid? Because in a lot of the research and in my personal experience, most first-generation college students lack the networks and relationships that other students whose parents and grandparents did attend college have to access financial aid and to access information about how to go to college. So your faculty and advisors are the network for these students, for first-generation college students. In this, and if they are, if in my slide the letters are red, more than likely there is a hyperlink. So I can share the PowerPoint so that you can have access to all of these sources. In this book, Relationship Rich Education, that I learned about a few months ago, they do a study of how human relationships are the single factor that makes for an excellent college education. Relationship rich environments at our colleges and institutions can and do exist for all students, not only at the elite institutions, but this research shows that these networks are very common even at community colleges. For example, in TRIO programs, Ascender, Marshalltown Education Partnership, the San Antonio Education Partnership. So these models of mentoring and counseling and advising is common. So you are here and you are listening to this presentation so that you understand how important you are in the role of the success of our Ascender students. This research also shows that faculty and advisors are sought by students to find important information and resources that may be available to them by the college. For example, here at San Antonio College, we don't only get asked about financial aid, we also get asked about the food pantry, about the food drives, about the flu shot, about COVID shots. So you are the connection to other resources for our students. The research shows that in this study by Education and Work After High School from 2009, they found that low family income is an important and substantial inhibiting factor for high school graduates seeking to pursue education. Uncertainty over financing or how to pay for college plays an important role in our students' decisions about even enrolling in college. And most results from this research for all surveyed graduates are logical and largely consistent. However, the strength and importance of specific variables differ for Hispanic and low income students. So this means that in this study, the specifics of the barriers were different between Hispanic and low income graduates to other general populations. In this study, Paving the Way, they looked at how financial aid awareness affects college access and success. So not only going into college, but also continuing to the next semester, graduating from community college, and then transferring. Students and families that most need financial aid tend to receive it later than others. And why is that? Well, probably because of this, because we lack the connections and our parents didn't go to college and didn't have this information at their fingertips. So this is why it is important that we know about the process so that we can share this information. Financial aid influences students' college-going decisions, again, also found in this study. And a lack of timely financial aid knowledge affects their likelihood to going in college. So they have more about how, if they didn't know about financial aid or how to pay for college, that really made a difference in their college going decision. What the research shows about why students aren't filling out the Fafsa. Well, after working at federal student aid for about 3 years, it is a very difficult form, and just logging in is difficult. So understanding that and showing empathy to the students about, yes, it is difficult. And what does the EFC have to do with how much my parents really have to pay for my college, right? The EFC, the expected family contribution, was in 2016 a 64-page formula. I am not lying. It was a 64-page PDF of how the EFC is calculated. That doesn't make sense. So in the most recent years, and then again this year, the FAFSA has been made a little bit easier to complete, but it is still very difficult. And just thinking FAFSA scares students. And in this study, in this article, there was a survey that found that low income and first generation college students find it difficult to fill out, but not only them. And they fill it out themselves because most of them, their parents do not have the technical ability or knowledge to even log in if they are filing their FAFSA online. First generation and low income students said that high school counselors and teachers were the most important when encouraged to complete the FAFSA. And number four, the number 4 source of information about FAFSA came from college advisors. So it is important to create awareness and understanding about the ability of advisors to answer our students' questions about financial aid. Even if we don't know all of the answers, it's important for us to know where to find the answers. And sometimes we find that it is very difficult to contact somebody at our college's financial aid office. Keep trying, because it is very important that we are aware of all of the FAFSA or TASPA events, so that we can pass this information on to our students in our class, but also when doing advising sessions. Meet students where they are. So during the pandemic, it is important that we have events and outreach that we can offer to students virtually. So this means don't just meet them where they are physically, so if they're at home, but also in terms of the knowledge and what they know or what their families know about the financial aid process in school. Yeah, my computer is stuck. Okay. All right, sorry about that. The role of financial aid in promoting college access and success. This is another study that showed the evidence that how the impact of not knowing about financial aid affected college going decisions. This line by President Lyndon B. Johnson, "The path of knowledge is open to all that have the determination to walk it." Not because we know that's not true, because we know there is a gap in the access to wealth, in the access to income. And it is not a coincidence. The structures are there and were built on purpose. So it is important. There are many studies that show information and data about the wealth and income inequities, especially among first generation college students. So it's important to know that even though there is a belief that education is accessible, that it is not, but it should be. And that's why creating awareness about financial aid and knowing where to look for this information is important. Of course, the net price and college affordability is very important. So educating our legislators about this is an everyday battle. Program complexity undermines aid effectiveness. So in different programs, for example, in the Alamo Promise, this is a program that Alamo College's district, who San Antonio College is a part of, has different guidelines for students to qualify for free tuition. So it is important to understand that, yes, there are programs that help students pay for college, and sometimes they are free, like the San Antonio Education Partnership, like MEP, like many other programs. But if they are difficult to understand or to complete, like the FAFSA, it's not going to be done. Millions of dollars stay on the table because people don't apply for the FAFSA. So just understanding that money is available is important, but it is also important to understand that programs need to be easier to access and fill out. Students need proactive help from their network, from us, their advisors, faculty, not just more information. So yes, we have all of this information. We have a lot of information on our financial aid page, but there is no real step-by-step. And I'll show you a really good example that I found from Laredo College in 2 slides. Every program has incentives, and these incentives affect outcomes. So it's important to understand the pros and cons about every type of financial aid that exists. And while loans are unpopular, some students will need loans to complete their education. So know that they exist. It's also important for us as Ascended advisors and faculty to understand the steps at your institution to register. So not only to apply for college, but what is the real process? So when I was in Iowa, applying for college was at the college. So, and we did have online application, but we didn't have to go to Apply Texas. We went to mcc.ia.edu because it was direct with the college. In Texas, I learned that we have to go through Apply Texas, right? So these are the things that are important for us to learn at our own institution. We need to know what the process is to register at the college, and then what's next. So then you go through the orientation, and then you go through the financial aid process, and then you see an advisor for registration. So maybe Ascended advisors are not the ones that do every single step, but understanding what each individual step is, or who to contact for information about that specific step on the checklist is important. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick, and I'm going to click on this link to show you what the process is here at San Antonio College. Any questions while I'm pausing here?
This is Maria Marta. I was really kind of surprised that, well, first of all, thank you for doing this. It's very informative. I really appreciate it. I was surprised that high school counselors are number 1. Well, I mean, I kind of expected that, but teachers, you said, are number 3, and college reps number 4. So, you know, I keep thinking most times the students would see the advisor first before they even meet teachers. So should we be coordinating with the advisors and other college reps to try to have faculty join them when they're doing those sessions? Or if they have more influence, how do we have the students meet the faculty early on?
So that's a great question. So why I think this is, and I didn't read the study thoroughly, but in my experience working at MCC, my experience when I was in high school, and my experience working at FSA, the high school teachers and counselors were very important, and at all of our outreach events. So the students front line are the teachers, and the same here at SAC. Students sometimes don't know about going to see their counselor. It is important for the school district. It is important for example, our student development and SDevs and all of those departments and faculty to know that students don't know. So it should be part of their curriculum. So this is why when students reported in this survey who gave them this information, it was teachers. Number 3 was teachers. That's true, because that's where they first learn about financial aid. In the case of PSJA, Far San Juan Alamos School District, I was assigned to the South Texas and actually Texas was my region when I was in DC. PSJA was number 1, the lowest in the nation of Fafsa completion.
Yeah.
And I was confused because I went to school in Brownsville and everyone knew about Fafsa. And I said, this is not right. Well, when I called her, and I don't remember her name, she explained to me. So the FAFSA completion rates among first-time FAFSA completers for that high school graduation class was super low. It was like at 23%. And she said, no, that's wrong. Our completion rate is about 97%. The other 3% is because specifically parents come and say, my student is not attending college. Teachers at that district were charged with, this was part of their school. This was part of their curriculum in their class. Completing the FAFSA as a junior at PSJA was part of the curriculum. So when the lovely people from the 6th floor at FSA were running numbers, they found that the seniors were at 23%. Well, that's because they filled out their FAFSA last year. So then, yes, this in many school districts and at SAC, talking about financial aid, talking about the FAFSA is the teacher's duty. So that is why the students answered that. So now I finally found my cursor. I'm going to share my screen. So in this page by Student Training and Education, they talk about the importance of students knowing how to go, knowing what it takes and the steps to going to college. And now I'm going to show you the page by San Antonio College. This is all right. Can you still see my website?
Yes.
Okay. So at SAC, we have an actual checklist that students can download. But I found that this is a very useful tool for students and families to understand the step-by-step of what to do. And again, in San Antonio, they are very good at most of our school districts about showing the checklist and what it takes, what to do first. So first you apply online. Again, apply Texas, right? This is what it takes. You complete the application. Once you're in Apply Texas, you say, these are the colleges I'm going to. And then the specific institution perhaps has a different process. So for whatever institution you're in, it is important for you to understand if they have this on their website and what the steps are. And I did a marketing class, and if it's not on the website, or if you're not advertising about it, it's not happening, right? So it's important for us to know the steps and to know where this is located on our website. Submit the transcript, financial aid, and ACEs. So knowing what students need to know is also part of our job as advisors. I'll go back to the PowerPoint now. All right. The next thing is, and this is the image that I thought is a really cool graphic for understanding the steps that students and families must take for applying for financial aid. So in the hyperlink, I have the steps and the website to San Antonio College. However, when I was doing a search earlier today, this image, and I can probably make it bigger here, was the most attractive to me because it, let's see, because it shows the dates, it shows the steps, and it has who to contact. And at San Antonio College, it is not that easy, but this is how it should be. This is how we taught when I was at Federal Student Aid. We should make it simple. We should make it a one-page, and we should clearly state the dates and the steps. So I encourage you to find, if there is a checklist, if there is a step-by-step of the process with a timeline at your institution. Advising your students. So it's important for us to know that we don't have to know everything. So I'm going to show you again, I'm going to stop sharing and show you these 4 tips from the FSA Toolkit. The FSA Toolkit is the Financial Aid Toolkit by Federal Student Aid, and it has a lot of information, a lot of resources that you can use to conduct outreach at your student. And again, even if this is not our job, the job of advisors, it is important to know that these tools are available by the federal government. Students never have to pay, or should never pay, either for completing the Fafsa or for restructuring their student loans. They should never pay for public service loan forgiveness programs. All of that is free. Well, it's not free. We're paying for it with our tax dollars. So all of these resources are available by the U.S. Department of Education. Can you all see the Financial Aid Toolkit here?
Yes.
Okay, so there are all of these tools available for you to learn about financial aid, and you don't have to memorize this. All of this is here, and it's easy to find with a simple Google search, financialaidtoolkit.ed.gov. In addition to knowing that students can start preparing for college since they are in elementary school, it's also important for us to learn about the different types of aid. In Texas, there's not only federal Pell Grants by filing the Fafsa, there's not only scholarships or grants by filing the TASFA, there are also scholarships and grants and institutional scholarships for our students based on their eligibility, right? There is also financial aid for undocumented students. So in this financial aid toolkit, you can go here to the search and then just look at, if you're looking for a PowerPoint presentation, for example, you can look, you can click on presentation. Who is it for? Well, it's going to be for probably adults, students, and maybe we can even say parents. And let's just say what's available. And we have these 3 PowerPoints that you can customize with your own information. So let's say you are not going to be in charge of any type of event. You just want to know what's available for you. Then your role here will be college access professional. So then you find all of the resources that are available for you. This is not right. To learn about financial aid. So in this search, we have access to recorded webinars. We have access to slides. We have access to infographics. We have access to a step-by-step presentation for all of the pages of the Fafsa. We have access to information about the new My FSA app that is downloadable on your phone. We have materials that are in Spanish. We have information about the student aid report. We have information about advising undocumented students. We have a lot of information available where you don't have to know everything. Everything is on the website, either at your school's financial aid website, which is for San Antonio College is here. Nope, not here. Or at the Financial Aid Toolkit, or just at fafsa.gov. And fafsa.gov used to be a commercial website where they would charge. So we had a lot of students that were paying to complete the Fafsa, but then federal student aid bought the website. So now whatever you type in, you will get the right form. Any questions while I'm switching screens here?
People wanted to know if they could have access to the PowerPoint, please.
Yes. Yep. I can go ahead and upload it here in the chat as soon as I am done.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Now. Okay. So that talked about the eligibility guidelines. Did anybody used to watch El Chavo del Ocho? So, ¿quién podrá ayudarme? Ese era el Chapulín Colorado, right? So know
yes.
who to call. Know who to call at your college. Try to form collaboration relationships with your financial aid office. In this environment, it has been very difficult to find who to contact here at San Antonio College, but try to make it your mission to know who to call. It is impossible to know everything, so know that all of this information is available on the website, either on your school website or at the Financial Aid Toolkit. Financial wellness is something else that is also very important for our students, because they have to understand not only the cost of attending college, but also they have to know that they can use financial aid to pay for rent, to buy books, to eat, but how to manage that their budget is also important. So knowing who to contact at your college about financial wellness or financial planning for students is important. And here I'm talking more specifically about the different types of financial aid that are available. And I apologize for this page. So to qualify for Fafsa, there are different, okay, to qualify to receive Pell Grants and federal loans and federal student aid, these are the eligibility requirements. Now, to qualify...
Te voy a buscar y voy a volver a meter a la vaqueta de tu vieja para que te vuelvas a nacer y volver a insultarme reconcha y la lora. A tu mamá, a tu prima, y los mato a todos los chiquitos. Buenas noches, cojo, mi viejo es pistaco, mi abuelito es jarjacha.
Sorry about that.
All right, to qualify to complete the FAFSA online, students must be U.S. citizens. Some colleges do require a FAFSA from everyone before moving on to the TASFA, or in the other states before moving on to other types of assistance. They require a FAFSA because they have never heard of the FAFSA forecaster, or they don't want to do things manually. So if the college is asking for a FAFSA, students can file a paper FAFSA only to determine the EFC. And really all it is they complete the FAFSA the same way, except for they print it out and they don't submit it. They sign manually and they mail the form to federal student aid so that they can receive the student aid report with the EFC. And that way they take it to their college to determine financial aid. But at San Antonio College, that is not required for undocumented students. Everyone else can file an online FAFSA. Students that are undocumented then can file the TASFA. So these are the requirements for the TASFA, and all of this information is on the College for All Texans website. And again, the reds are hyperlinked, so I'll go ahead and upload the PowerPoint. And then here I talk about the sources. So all of this information you'll have on the PowerPoint, and I don't want to go through all of these except for here. So these are, it's just important to know that there are rules, and that we want to make sure that we know that there are certain policies that students must comply with while they're in college, and you do not have to memorize them. All of this is public information, and it is available on your school's financial aid page or on the Financial Aid Toolkit or federal student aid. This is an example of a policy. At San Antonio College, in every college, students must always remain in satisfactory academic progress. That means that students must comply with the minimum GPA, have a certain completion rate of the courses they attempt, and then maximum hours at a certain level coursework. So this is specific to San Antonio College. So it's important to know that, because sometimes students, or what happened before is that students would register at different colleges, get their financial aid refund, and then drop. So it is possible to get reinstated, but it's important to know the policies before they happen. So that was it. What questions do we have?
I wasn't sure if I read it correctly, but it said that to get the FAFSA, you needed to show that you were enrolled. So you need to enroll before you apply for it, or is it to receive it?
You need to be to receive it. I'm sorry, to receive it. I'm sorry about my computer ringing. You need to show that you are enrolled. You are accepted and enrolled in that college. To receive it only. To apply, when you apply for the FAFSA, you can put up to 10 colleges and universities, and you don't even have to be admitted yet. And
Right.
then, so the FAFSA sends the student aid report to each of the 10 institutions. And then when the student decides to apply, they can apply for admissions at all 10 institutions. And until that institution receives the application for admissions is when they process the student's financial aid package.
Okay. Okay. And they will no longer have to pay for each college that they want them forwarded them to, right? I know when I did it, I had to pay for each college that I wanted to
the
get a
student aid
copy.
report.
Right. So that's free now. Yeah.
Yeah, really? You had to pay?
Well, that was way back in the day. You know, when I went to high school, it was so long ago.
Well, students do have to pay for the high school transcript to be sent to every college, yes.
Okay.
But students don't have to pay for colleges to receive the student aid report from federal student aid. Also, if they put in 10 colleges and then they change their mind and now they are receiving a better offer from another college, they can go into the FAFSA and amend it and put in the 5 new colleges, let's just say.
Great. Thank you.
What other questions do we have?
Anyone? Let me see. I don't see any more. People just keep asking about the PowerPoint. That was about it. I think I asked everyone's questions. Yeah.
Okay, so I just uploaded the PowerPoint.
Excellent.
I did want to show you, well, I don't know, how much time do we have?
We still have 5 minutes or more.
Okay, I did want to show you where some of the resources, the literature, not necessarily the articles and the reports that I pulled, but more importantly, the way I have the faculty resources for Ascender faculty on our website. So let me share that real quick. Because for those of us that are new and still have not gone through the whole year institute, this is how we work with our students. So knowing that there has been research and what we are doing is based off of evidence-based practices is important. So this is where I put the different literature that is available. And some I got from the Catch the Next website. And so, you know, one of my favorites is on top. And this is where this one that I used on my very first slide about relationship-rich education and the role that advisors and faculty played with our Ascender students, specifically for first-generation college students. There is research about this. There, you know, that is what is going to make us successful. So feel free to visit this page for different different articles and other studies about the pedagogy that Ascender uses with our students, and just working with our students, building relationships, and even different types of activities that we can do with students.
Great. And we will actually be sending out packet number 2 to the faculty and administrators, and we will include the list of publications for you. Just so that if you ever have to be an ambassador and talk to people or faculty, you have that to support your arguments. One more question. You mentioned the College for All Texans site. That's not the same as the Applied Texas, right? That's a different.
No, I think, College for All Texans is like where to find Applied Texas. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me.
I think Apply Texas is the link to the actual application, but the College for All Texans is part of just the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board's campaign to like fundraise, I think, for one, and then to promote college readiness.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, College for All Texans has all of the information, and the way Apply Texas started was with this initiative. So yes, Apply Texas is the actual application.
Okay. All right.
And here is the College for All Texans. It's kind of antiquated and ugly, but it works. I mean, that is where we went for Texas information when I was in DC. Thank you, Lori.
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to go back to financial aid in the next few months for the SAC. Well, actually, for the Alamo Colleges District, I will be providing a professional development session on public service loan forgiveness. Public service loan forgiveness is a program that everyone that works at a public institution or at a nonprofit qualifies for. So, we need to work, we need to be employed and paid by this public institution or government or nonprofit for 120 months and pay 120 payments in an eligible loan plan in order to qualify. But still today, there are many people, including HR professionals, that could be using this as a recruiting tool, but don't know about public service loan forgiveness. So
will you open it up to others if they want to come in, if they're not from SAC?
I could, I don't see.
Right.
I'm going to build a Zoom link. So
right,
yeah.
Right. Because I do know people that have been paying, but they have only been at that particular job for X number of years.
And
so yeah,
it's okay. So for people, for example, that have gone to different institutions, it's okay as long as they're public. And let's say you are working at one college and then you go work at a business and the business is not nonprofit, you're in pause. So if you go back into public service, you start at where you where you stayed off. Another thing is that if you are hired by a contractor, even if you work for a public service institution, you don't qualify. So if you're hired by Manpower, for example, but you're doing an assignment for UT Austin, you don't qualify. It has to be, the employer has to be a public institution, government, or a nonprofit. And then the loans have to be a qualifying repayment loan.
Right. Right. Because I think a lot of our faculty that have been going back to school could really utilize that. So we may want to do something to share with more of them, that information. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Yes, you're
Learned a lot.
welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I know Erin is there.
I'm on mute. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jaimes, for all of that great information on all of the resources. The PowerPoint is in the chat if you want to see it, and then we will get it uploaded to the CTN YouTube channel so that folks can access it if they weren't able to come today. But other than that, we will look forward to seeing you next month with Dr. Fong. That'll take place on September the 16th from 3 to 4 p.m. Just in conversation with Juan, we might end up changing the Zoom link because I'm pretty sure all that noise interference was a Zoom bomber. So luckily, there wasn't anything too disruptive, but just for security purposes and all that, we will let y'all know if there's a new Zoom link. But other than that, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. If you haven't started classes already, then I hope you have a smooth start to the new school year. And it was nice seeing you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.